fine finisher in front of goal. Runs out to the right. Hits the ball well. Does it hold its line? Indeed it does. First goal for the Hawks. Jack Gunston paying tribute to his father. O'Meara does well. If he's got pace, if he can pick it up, keeps it in front of himself. Ball brings him to ground really nicely. But running into the open goal is O'Meara. And the Hawks have got their second. Gunston provides it for Bruce. He always had his name on this look, Bruce. Always had his name on it. And he kicks his first. Gunston. Gunston. Number 5.
The Hawks dominated in Hobart, returning North Melbourne to their regularly scheduled programming of losing rather badly. And the day belonged to Jack Gunston with a bag of 5, our midfield running riot for the first time in forever. There's plenty of talking points from the weekend, so let's get down to business. Welcome to another edition of the Hawk Talk podcast. My name is Nick Mason, and joining me is a man who had to have been happy with the team's display in Tassie, Tiz.
Beautiful display. Fantastic for Jack. Excellent interview after it. Got the first goal of the day. Settled his nerves. This return from Jack Gunston was very important to the whole culture of the footy club, wasn't it?
Absolutely. It's been a tough time. There's just so much loss around the football club. It's insane, but this was a hell of a response from Jack Gunston. An inspired game, paying tribute to his father with 5 goals and 4 behinds. And, really did tug at the heartstrings. How did you go with that post-match interview? Because that was tough watching, wasn't it?
Oh, well, you're looking at an athlete that's exhausted on the day, and then he finds it in himself to express himself so well. I was very impressed. And it speaks to the character of the man, and I particularly enjoyed Bruce and Gunston working together, and I think their pairing is something we'll remember for many, many years to come.
Absolutely going to cherish that. Now, staying with historically just what Gunston can do, we had a question from one of our long-time listeners, Aaron. Gunners was all class on the weekend. So happy to see him play so well. What a champion he's been for us, but what are your top 3 Gunston moments?
Well, go back all the way to the start. He arrives from Adelaide, and we've heard about how pissed off Adelaide were to lose him.
Well, they gave him, best newcomer, didn't they?
Yeah.
And then he leaves.
Yeah, then he goes. And so I'm sitting there with my dad. And my dad's a fairly harsh judge, and I think his first opportunity came from the boundary line of the G.
Yeah.
And Dad says, all right, well, we'll see how good this kid is.
Oh, hello.
Goes back, drills it, drop punt, perfect goal.
Yep.
Decent celebration, not too much, not too little. Got with the rest of the group. That's a great moment for me.
All right, we're going to go back and forth here because I might pinch one of yours. That's what I'm afraid of. I mean, Gunston's had so many classic moments throughout his career, but there's one from the 2013 Grand Final. Gunston on the line does a bit of a sneaky roundhouse goal.
Now, I was going to go with this roundhouse goal because he's sort of it's an intelligent goal. I think it's Zach Dawson trying to put some pressure on him, and he thinks he's got him, because it's not. If you're going to kick it high, Zach's there, but he just drills it low, right next to the post. Yep. But he also kicks the first goal of Grand Final day, and there was a hell of a lot of pressure on that first kick.
Oh, absolutely, yep.
So you've got the lovely roundhouse scrubber goal. I'll take the first goal of the day.
All right, no, fair enough. They're both marvellous picks. Another one for me, Geelong. Goal of the Year nomination from 2017.
That's where he balks.
Yeah, it's marvellous from the boundary goal on I think it was an Easter Monday, so massive occasion, and it deserves a Goal of the Year nomination, to be honest. Go back and YouTube that if you can, listeners, because it's a sensational finish, and 2 years after Luke Hodge did something very similar.
So he's receiving the ball, heading to the boundary line, left forward pocket.
Yep.
Looking like he's going to have to do something off his left foot. Balks, back onto the right, straight through.
I feel like people are going to come for me and suggest that Hodges was way better. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Make no mistake about that,
It's
listeners.
still a great moment for Gunston.
Oh, absolutely. It's a sublime finish. Have you got one more?
So 2015. Okay. And I think it's about 5 minutes into the second quarter.
Okay.
We're underdogs again for another grand final.
Mm-hmm.
And we've already had a very good first quarter. The Weagles are sort of
wobbly.
Yeah, I mean, sure, he's getting a lot of it, but he's not doing the right things with it. Mm-hmm. And Jack makes it a 30-point buffer. It's a bit of a team goal, but the celebration of just having broken that Weagles web or whatever they called it And I mean, he just hoists it through post high with a boomerang from the top of the goal square. But my relief and my ability to then go and get some drinks, knowing that we're pretty set here. The 30-point buffer is that statistical. You hardly ever lose if you get out by 5 goals.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that goal.
So for listeners playing along at home, if you want to look that up in the grand final, 2015 grand final, I believe that's on the TV broadcast clock. I think 15 minutes is on the clock around that in the second quarter.
5 minutes into the second quarter.
Yeah, that's right. My third one I'm going to pick from the same game, and it's based on work rate. It's a great team goal.
This is an all-time classic. But I kind of forget that Gunston kicked the goal.
That's right. Yeah, but you would, because it started with Cyril Rioli, who was just absolutely unstoppable that game, clearly. He got a medal to show for it. But when he intercepts that hand pass and the crowd just comes alive, it's like, oh my goodness, there's just no stopping this guy.
But hang on, there's no time to realise Cyril had it because Bruce already has it.
That's right, yeah. The Hawks are already charging. Cyril's got it. He's got the turnover. We're away. I think it's Bruce to Poppy, and Puopolo kicks the most perfectly well-weighted kick.
Beautiful kick.
To Jack Gunston, who, and this is why it's in my moments, he's outworked 2 Eagles from the centre square, and he ends up taking the mark about 20 metres out.
Then stops himself.
Yep.
Instead of drilling it straight away, thinks I'll take 30 seconds off the clock here.
He's beaten, and this is with Puopolo's help, obviously, with such a perfect delivery. He's outworked 2 Eagles to get to that footy. And I just thought, I mean, how far are we up by that point?
About 3 classes of football, I reckon.
I more meant the scoreboard, but yeah, no, fair enough. But like that kind of work rate is just phenomenal. And I love that goal. I think it's great for everyone involved. Obviously, masterful by Cyril, a reading of the play, but then the team effort to get it down there and Gunston to make that happen, to take that mark. And, I mean, the game was probably long over by then.
Champagne football. And they're by no means a full list. I mean, I can remember fantastic goals. He loves playing against the Kangas.
Yeah, he does.
He's put a few through at Marvel and at the G that were sensational goals. Carlton, he's had a bag.
But I think, what was it, Dennis Cometti? I can't remember which caller said it. They said it about Buddy, a nonchalant phenomenon. I feel like that's Jack Gunston. Because when we were discussing it, there's a lot of moments and a lot of big games for Jack where it's kind of a bit paint by numbers, but he's kicked 5 or 6 or something.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a lot of stars around him at that point.
Well, that's true.
It's got a bit harder for Jack the last couple of years, but he still performs amazingly well. The thing about Jack is he knows where everyone is. He's got amazing vision. He doesn't just hit up goals, he creates goals as well. And somehow always finds a way to lead into space.
Yes. And I think a game like this shows us, in fact, there are various points where Gunston's played this year, star power does come to the surface.
Class.
Yeah, class, mate. The veteran status.
To be able to do that after all he's gone through.
Yeah.
And he's been playing irregularly. He's had his injuries this year. But he is a phenomenal player.
We're going to move on from this miniature celebration in just a second, listeners. But I want to throw a bit of a curveball to Tiz. We've talked him up. Is he staying at the club?
Oh, I think he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I reckon one more. One more year.
The value of his tutelage is pretty obvious, I think. You think about Wingard, Bruce, Gunston. Can you keep playing them and still develop your list?
It'd be nice to have the option, to be honest. I don't think we're quite there yet to be without all of them. So...
But, I don't think it'll happen. But if Gunston put up his hand and one of them put up their hand and said, I want to try for another premiership somewhere else, they're not going to say no. But it's certainly not a decision I'd like to be in charge of.
I don't want to see him go. It's the same thing as he who shall not be named. Like I don't want to go through that again. And I think we still have plenty of use for Gunston.
But this is a business. Anyway, we don't need to get into that. This is a wonderful...
I suppose we don't need to go into it anymore. We'll move on. Let's talk about Jai Newcombe. Duke at his damaging, irrepressible best is. And you thought it was going to come against a bottom-ranked side as well. That he was just going to have an absolute day out, feasting on them with 30 disposals at 73.3% efficiency for 580 metres gained.
He took a mark in the forward 50, didn't he? good mark.
More contested footy than uncontested on the day, which is unsurprising because he finished with a game-high 9 clearances to Jai Newcomb, plus an equal game-high 7 inside 50s. Now,
they were frustrating.
The inside 50s?
Yeah.
Yeah, at a certain point. I'll agree with that.
Yep. But getting the ball like he did, and that 580 metres gained. Mm-hmm. Jeez. So we were wondering at the start of the year whether Jai Newcomb could come on.
Yeah.
Definitely has.
Oh, he settled that ages ago. But it's games like this that remind you that he's stellar and that on his day he can absolutely be a match winner.
And bar Dacos, he's rising star.
Yeah, well, essentially, yeah. I would agree with that. A guy that's also come along in leaps and bounds, Finn Mcginnis. I feel like we talk about him every week now because there's always something to talk about with Finn lately. Now, this week, he's taken Jai Simpkin to the cleaners. Don't worry about that. Previous week, in North's grand final, obviously, Simpkin racked up 34 touches and a goal. Head-to-head against Finn, Simpkin only managed 14 disposals at 42.9% disposal efficiency for just 81 metres gained.
Yeah, he went backwards a lot.
Yep.
So, Finn has found a spot.
Mm.
You've got his disposal efficiency down here at 33%.
It was less than Simpkins.
But
my point to you, Tiz, is it hardly matters at this point, right?
Yeah, if you're destroying your opposition and frustrating him so much that he decides to indulge in a melee and try to...
Yeah.
Yeah. He was completely frustrated, Jai Simpkin.
Oh, petty, fake tough guy stuff from North Melbourne. Classic.
And after Finn took out Tim Kelly the week before, what happened this week? 4 touches, 80% game time.
His confidence is at the centre of the earth. That's how far it's plummeted.
So if you got Jai Simpkin, don't pick him in your dream.
That's right. Worth mentioning as well, with Finn's own stats, yeah, the disposal efficiency was down. Did slot himself a goal.
Yeah.
So that's nice.
It was a nice goal too.
It was, yeah.
So
a tag is not meant to have that kind of space, Tiz. You're not meant to get that sort of separation, right?
Yeah, but that's the beauty of Finn. He doesn't stop running.
Yeah, he had all the time in the world to slot that, and slot it he did.
So what would you say is the big difference in Finn now from the start of the year?
Defined role?
I would say his concentration.
Yeah.
And I would say that he had an inability to get drawn up to be in the right places for getting the football. Mm-hmm. And I think Sammy has found a way to make sure he gets to the right places.
Yeah.
By making him a hard tag.
But that's
and hopefully he learns that's where you need to be.
But that's part of what the defined role is all about. You have there's an application now that's not wishy-washy. He has a specific job to do. Whereas I think before this era of Mcginnis as we know him now, he's a half-backer and does what exactly? What's he good at half-back? What's he contributing there? I think he's found his purpose, and that's where the concentration comes in. It's a very narrow focus, which is working wonders for him.
He was a very negative half-back.
Yeah.
And you couldn't rely on him for outlet or anything like that.
Yeah, which is a problem.
Which is still the case here.
Yeah.
But it suits him down to the ground, some of
these
roles.
It's taking the opposition's one of their best movers out of the game.
And he's learning. I would have to say that he's learning more here than he is off the half-back line. And certainly more than on the wing at Box Hill.
Absolutely, yeah. We need to see Finn for the rest of the year, and I suspect that we will. Another guy that so rarely gets beaten, Blake Hardwick. He just does not concede, ever.
Who was he on this week? Because I don't think I heard him called.
Would it have been at times Spicer? Maybe? Phoenix Spicer?
And Zerha?
Yeah, oh, well, okay. That says it all.
Yeah.
I mean, he kicked 6 goals the week before.
And he got one in dead time at the end of the game, didn't he?
Oh, there's a few that North got cheapies in the last quarter.
Oh, you would have been seething.
No, I was done, mate. I was fine.
You were all right, weren't you?
I was absolutely...
How are you in the first quarter, Nick?
Oh, that's just ecstasy. It was plain and simple.
When did you figure this is over?
Not by quarter time. Probably by half time.
Really?
Yeah, I know. You went way early.
Oh, yeah.
You said we've broken their backs. I think it was about 20 minutes into the first.
Well, you only have to look at their body language.
Well, yeah, it's pretty deplorable. But it's a long season for North, isn't it? No, enough about North. Blake Hardwick, that's who we're talking about. 23 touches at 91.3% efficiency, team high 9 intercepts, and the most defensive half pressure acts too.
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty easy roll though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was this week, but it doesn't detract from the fact that he's in PCM podium placing form again.
Yeah.
I did not see that coming at a certain point.
Well, I got to say
year.
that the back end of the year, he's been getting far more touches and distributing the ball.
Yeah.
In the absence of... Well, where was Will Day?
Yeah, you were a bit sad about that, weren't you? Should we get into that?
No, go right ahead.
Well,
because by the end of the first quarter, I had 6 of my 8-leg multi.
Yeah, you're doing
and
very well.
And by the end of the game, I had 6 of my 8-leg.
So who let you down? Will Day was someone who let you down. But this is
he
purely
only had to reach a few points.
Okay.
AFL points. What are they? Fantasy
points, whatever they're called.
He had to get a threshold. And McDonald had to kick a goal.
Normally, you're pretty safe, aren't you? It's pretty unfortunate to miss out.
I was wrapped. I had... what did I have? I had Reeves kicking a goal.
Yep.
I'd had Newcomb kick a goal. I mean, they were...
I just want to mention, seeing as you did bring it up just now, Jai Newcomb, I'm telling you, gets a sniff on the 50-metre arc, it's a goal.
Beautiful goal.
Every single time it's a goal. He loves it. It's actually quite the same as Harry Morrison, inside 50.
Well, he was another leg.
There you go. Gets a snap away. That's going through for a goal.
Wasn't that a terrific goal too?
He does it every week now, Harry. He is lethal from like off a couple of steps.
Yeah.
He just knows where the goals are. It's quite something. I want to talk about Reeves as well, because he's someone that's finding the goal with regularity now. 2 goals this game.
Yeah.
Lumbering out of the full forward line to take a mark on the lead.
Couple of grabs.
Yep.
Clunked.
Mitchell with 90% disposal efficiency. I think had a slightly unheralded game. We have a lot of other players to talk about.
Well, you didn't give him 3 votes.
Jack Gunston gets the 3 votes.
Okay. Well,
I'll go Jack Gunston, Jai Newcomb, Dylan Moore.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Aaron Hall.
So yeah, some gave him a vote. Why? Unbelievable.
He always seems to have the ball on a string against Hawthorn.
Yeah, but
even at Gold Coast.
What does it achieve? Anyway, Dylan Moore with the most pressure acts for the Hawks overall, 25 touches at 88%. That's what you want from a midfielder.
Yeah, but give me Tom Mitchell. Come on, that was a great game. Back to some of his best form. They've just told him, this is what we want you to do for us. In the absence of Warple, and he's starting to hit his straps again.
I'll pay that. O'Meara, I thought, put in a ton of work and seems maybe the fastest I've seen him in years.
Good goal.
Yeah, was a good goal. Sicily, I thought, he's a trusted hand back there. What else can you say at this point? All Australian form.
He looked in his element.
Yeah.
Hitting passes, no Learising this week. But getting pretty angry when we conceded goals. Did you notice that a couple of times?
I did. There's still a little bit of that in Sicily. You don't mind it.
No, I love it.
You want him to care. I like the passion personally.
That one that just dribbled through. Oh, he was furious. And I love it because that's me. I was furious too.
Miscellaneous questions from listeners here. This one from Breeder. At Hawk Talk Pod, have you noticed that teams keep Mitch Lewis much quieter when Cozzy is out of the team? Is Cozzy's future value more as a foil for Mitch?
No.
I would personally hope it's a little bit better than that. I think
but
Cozzy's
he does need help up there. I don't think the twin ruck thing has helped Mitch at all.
No, not really. It's an odd one.
I've got this twin ruck thing in the gun.
Yeah, you don't like it? Okay. Do you want to talk about it now?
Well, I know we're kicking a big score against some of these piddlies.
Yeah.
Teams, right?
You're waiting for a real test.
Yeah.
St Kilda this weekend.
Didn't they look good against West Coast? That's what I'm going to say to that.
It's their first win in the West for about 12 years, St Kilda.
Is it?
I'd
have to be told that because, I'd never know. What was it, 09 or something?
Oh, no clue. I'm sure I read that somewhere. Anyway, it's clear that Mitch does need a bit of help at times.
Well, yeah, you can't be beating 2 and 3 men. I mean, he was bringing ball to ground.
Yeah.
We didn't have any trouble scoring with our small forwards, but,
Can I just say, as much of a Mitch Lewis fan as I am, I want to see him kick bags week after week. I've got to say, I really don't mind if we've got a bit of a whack-a-mole attack the way that we do lately. Right. Because Mitch Lewis kicks 5, and then Bruce bobs up with 6, and then you got Gunston kicking. I don't care where it comes from.
But we did waste a lot of inside 50s. Come on, we should have beaten them by more.
Oh no, absolutely. But what are we scoring?
Like if I'm Sammy Mitchell, I'm not wrapped.
No, it could be better.
We could have rubbed their faces in the turf.
And we let them get back into it at the end as well. So, no, there's still some stuff to work on. But
Zeeble kicked 3.
Yeah, wrap your head around that. Mitch Lewis, I'm not concerned at all. But Do you want Cozzy back in the team?
Not up to me. Up to Cozzy to improve his form at the lower level.
I'd say so, yeah. Did not set the world on fire. Although he did have an injury concern early on in the game for Box Hill. That might have swayed things a bit. But I wouldn't be selecting him this week, put it that way. He's going to have to earn his way back in. This question from Tej. Do you think that Jarman Impey has a future playing as a small forward?
Yeah, I do, actually.
Well, we wondered at the start of the year just how we would manage the surplus of halfbacks and what we would do with it. We speculated maybe we'd shuffle a few to the wing.
Well, I always felt returning from a knee injury like that, and Sicily the same, that it's very hard to play back because you've got to turn very quickly.
That's right, yeah.
And, yeah, I always felt for Jarman Impey playing back that he'd be exposed for lack of pace and positioning and strength in contest and that kind of stuff. But what really happened, I think, was that going forward has meant that he's been able to be aggressive and not react, but be, proactive in how he plays the game. I think that's been a mental shift for Jarman. And although he didn't have a big impact on the weekend, did he? He does look dangerous when he gets the ball.
I love aggressive Jarman Impey. That's it's a different look. We've seen it on and off throughout the years he's been at Hawthorn, but I'm welcoming it back, to be honest, especially when he works so well in tandem in that goal with Jaeger.
But he can definitely kick 3 or 4 goals, Jarman.
Yeah. Well,
once he gets his eye in,
that's it.
Bit of confidence behind him. He can slot him from anywhere. He's very highly skilled for his size. A very good overhead mark. This
question from Stuart. Has Morris secured his spot on the list? Is there anyone out of contract we should try before the end of the season?
I would be shocked, if Morris didn't get another year.
Yep, same. 1 year minimum. I think he's earned it.
Oh, it'll be 1 year. They won't do any more than that.
And fair enough. Anyone else out of contract we should try at the end of the season?
Well, I mean, Jekka has to come back in, doesn't he? I mean, his form at Box Hill has been terrific. You have to just promote him and let him play anywhere.
Yeah, we'll certainly get on to Jekka in a sec with our Box Hill recap.
Well, he's out of contract. They've got to do something good. He's one talent I want to keep.
This question from Hyde. We've seen Lewis, Moore and Duke become real match winners this year. Who is currently flying under the radar and in 12 months' time will be tearing games apart? I know your answer to this.
Is it Will Day?
No, it wasn't actually.
Yeah, Will Day's had a shit of a year.
You don't suspect that he's going to have a problem with that next year?
No. I think this is what is it? Anus horribilis?
Anus, I think you would find.
That's it. And
well, you did say it was a shit year, so maybe that applies.
But he hasn't. He played forward, kicked a number of goals. There's the talent.
Yeah.
There's being in the right place at the right time. They gave him a role on the weekend in defence, the shutdown role, very much like what they were giving Mcginnis for a little while. So they build his confidence up forward, take him back, make sure he sits on someone. I just think they're telling him to set for next year. And he will be, he hasn't lost anything.
No, exactly what I wanted to say. There's been enough signs in the back half of this year where I'm like, no, he's still got it. He's still got it. I'm not worried about it. I can't believe I was worried.
He's just having one. They all have it.
Yeah.
The second or even the third year, you struggle. You're either, for most players, you're either playing through an injury and you've got to learn the professionalism to be able to do so. That's the step up. And he's going through that hard yard now where you have expectations here, but your body won't get you there, but you can't drop your head about it. You just got to keep a certain standard.
Who do you think I thought you were going to say?
If it's Connor Nash, I hope I'm not becoming that predictable.
No, you're in the ballpark though.
Is it Dylan?
I thought you were going to say Connor McDonald.
Oh, right. Well... Is
it too soon? Is that too much of a big call?
I think that is too soon.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
But there are moments where I think...
Where you wonder?
Well, I mentioned him in terms of captaincy and things like that the other week, so I'm really wrapped in him.
Yeah,
But he's, he'll be moved. It's part of the thing at Hawthorn. You're going to be moved to different positions to find out exactly how good you are for the first 2 years.
But I guess the only difference is that he's not being moved to Box Hill. He's being moved to the senior side.
And though they're going to, well, we saw it when he went down to Box Hill, they want more midfield minutes out of Connor.
Yeah.
And if he can have if he can use his vision and his ability to read the game from the midfield.
Exactly right.
That is so much better for Hawthorn going forward.
Part of the reason we drafted him. That was his expertise heading into the club. So I'd be shocked if that wasn't on their radar heading forward.
If he can spot Carl Amon on the wing and just get it out to him.
Here it is.
Come on. Is this not like... Are you getting a bit worried about this now? Everyone's like, Carl Amon's going to Hawthorn, that's it, done.
No, well, I suppose they are saying that, but why would I be worried about that?
Remember when Buddy left, where he was going? Where was he going?
This is like that, is it?
Well, it's pretty... No one else is being mentioned.
Yeah, well, Carlton got out of the race. They said no. Who else? Do you remember any other teams that have been mentioned?
No, that's my point.
Yeah, I feel like it has been a number of weeks since anyone but Hawthorn has been linked to Carl Amon. I don't know, I want him at the club, especially because of who I think is going to fall off the list.
Well, they're going to fall off the list because he's coming. I mean, you've got... Downey's done his hammy.
Yep.
So that's...
Well, that's on a knife's edge now. He could fall off the list because of that.
Yeah.
It's very harsh, but...
Tom Phillips plays his heart out, doesn't get a look.
Same as Dan Howe.
That and Dan
You got three wingers right there. They're all on the chopping block.
That's telling.
Yep. And if you got Amon in, I dare say the majority of Hawthorn supporters would feel pretty comfortable with it.
Yeah, I mean, Phillips knows it's his kicking. He kicked into the man on the mark late in the game.
Yeah.
On the weekend. And his reaction... Oh... You know, he knew. But he has improved it. I've got to say, he has improved his disposal by foot.
I feel like we're about to get into the Box Hill stuff, but I'll say this. I think Howe and Phillips are just getting it done. They're perfectly adequate, and they're doing it for Box Hill. I think that's the ceiling there. I don't know if I bring them back into the senior side anytime soon. I don't know if I bring them back this year. This question from Numo. Gunners, Big Boy, Howe, Phillips, and Shields are out of contract at season's end. Which of these experienced players do we keep around to assist the development of standards and culture? Is it just the first two who are contributing to a good standard still? Meaning Gunners and Big Boy.
Oh, I think Shields is still contributing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially at Box Hill level, even though he got knocked out on the weekend. Mm-hmm. The week before, he was instrumental at changing the course of that match.
Shields has been excellent for Box Hill.
And there's no difference between his work ethic at both levels.
That's what makes him so good. The professionalism is just through the roof. He applies himself so well.
Yeah.
He's going to be an asset to whichever team he's in. So it's fantastic, Shields.
Gunners is still getting it done, so he's still A-class. Big Boy comes in, gives everyone else confidence,
well, Big
straightens
Boy,
everyone up.
I think the last 8 games we've played, we've won 7 and drawn 1 with Big Boy. So, I mean... Is it a coincidence? Is it not? I'll leave it to the listeners to decide, but I feel like there has to be something in that.
How is mercurial? It can be great 1 week.
1 week inside a game.
Well, yeah. Or the next week, if he's played out of position or he finds the wrong opponent, geez, it worries him.
Yeah.
So, and Phillips, I mean, we haven't seen enough of Phillips this year, but I think we all know that he's a weird player. He's like a player that doesn't really fit this current model of football.
I agree. Certainly not what Sammy's doing.
He's got great vision. He'll do things that are totally outside your expectations. Mm-hmm. He'll get a goal every week. That's a big tick. But in terms of being able to do it each and every week, and whether you want to be playing football, which goes around corners, or whether you want to be... He's not fast. Mm-hmm. His kicking efficiency isn't great. Doesn't sound like what Sam wants. Yeah,
I suspect you might be right. Let's get into the Box Hill recap. 17-13, 115, Box Hill defeated the Northern Bull Ants, 8-11-59. As well they should have. Northern Bull Ants had won 1 game for the year. And credit to them, the contest was a bit tighter than we would have liked to begin with, but Ben Cavara basically stamped his authority in the second half. 3 goals in roughly 5-6 minutes to give us the ascendancy. The next 6 scores actually went the Bull Ants' way. So they weren't going away, but they did only manage 1 goal 5, which it hurt them. They couldn't get back into the game after that. We just kept on finding avenues to goal and stretched the lead further, and it was pretty comfortable in the end.
It was a gale to one end, Nick, so I think that has to be mentioned. Because we didn't start very well. They got a couple of goals against the wind. Then we were a bit complacent, to be honest. We were a bit rattled by Shields going out of the game so early.
Yep, I'd say so.
But Cal Porter with 45 touches, they had absolutely no answer.
He was one of those guys. I know it seems obvious, 45 touches, but when you're watching the game, it dawns on you within about 2-3 minutes of watching. You're like, geez, this kid's everywhere.
Yeah.
Who is this guy? Cal Porter, as you say, 45 touches, 12 inside 50s, 10 marks, 10 tackles, 9 clearances. About as complete a game as you'd want. He was absolutely dominant.
Another bloke in tandem with Cal, Ned.
Mm-hmm.
That's his best game.
It is.
Easy.
Yeah.
Easily bet. Ned Long, this is, he's on the Hawthorn list. Mm-hmm. Hope to see him before the end of the year.
Well, he keeps on putting in games like this, he will. He very much recaptured the magic and 24 touches, divided his time between the wing and the midfield. He got back to where he was towards the start of the year, where Hawthorn saw fit to immediately slide a contract his way. We know what we have with this guy.
And imposing physically around the contest.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Oh, he's a bull. That's his go, and he's very good at it. And look, we've got to buy this week for Box Hill, which is a shame because I'm dying to see more.
So, EJ, what is going on? He looks phenomenal. Emerson Jeka hanging around in the back half, doing basically whatever he likes.
Yep.
He could have had 40 touches if they got it down there more often.
It makes it sound, don't discredit the guy. It makes it sound so easy for him, but he's
making it look easy.
That's
he
right.
does have an opponent. He beats his opponent.
This is my point.
Then he accelerates away, and all of a sudden...
You make it sound like he was in space initially, but no, he's winning the ball.
All of a sudden, it's like, I don't know, he looks like he's got his own little field out there, and then he pinpoints pass across about 40, 45 metres, usually at a 45-degree angle to the ground, and you're wondering, how is this kid at Box Hill and not playing AFL?
The Emerson Jeka experiment has been wonderful and continued in fine form this week. Didn't have a handball. 19 kicks. That was his stat sheet. 19 kicks, 8 marks. Awesome intensity. He competes well always. And as you say, beautiful distribution off half back.
Is there another player you can think of that had that kind of distribution between handballs and kicks? One, Matt Suckling.
Oh, right. I was wondering where you're going with that. Bit of a deep dive these days, isn't it?
Oh, I used to love suckers. Well, even at the Dogs I had a soft spot for him.
That raking brute. Emerson Jeka's I've always been a fan. I love him as a forward, but even now he's a delight to watch. And, we want to see Ned Long in the side. I want to see Jeka in the side.
But his competitiveness
and
his athleticism, you never saw him give up on a contest.
Yep.
He was always involved, good positioning, couple of relieving marks.
This kind of progress in this position over, about 3 weeks, I think he's been playing it now, is quite something.
He's taken to it like a duck to water.
Absolutely. And I think I might have said it last week, but DGB's got to be a bit worried.
Yes, but also the absence of Emerson Jeka has let someone else flourish at the other end, and I did not expect this. I felt he was way too young, too skinny, etc.
Well, he needs another season, does Jai Sarong. He needs another pre-season. Build the bulk on the kid.
But his timing in the contest is excellent.
He knows what he's doing. We know what we have. A high half forward, a career best 21 touches for the VFL, Jai Sarong, 10 marks, and really left an impression on the coaches by the sounds of it.
Well, he just takes the right options.
Really, the only blemish all day was he missed a soda from about 20 metres out directly in front.
That was bad.
Which was a bit shocking. After it went through...
It didn't have enough pressure on him.
No, I was kind of a bit mystified. I sat there watching it and I was like, is that a behind?
Well, the bloody umpire nearly gave him a goal.
That's right, yeah. I was confused. I was like, oh, did he actually miss that?
Yeah, I was like, geez, he wasn't very impressed with that goal.
No.
The only thing that gave it away was his body language. Otherwise, they wouldn't have called it into question, I reckon.
Yep. But otherwise, a very solid game from Jai Sarong. And no, I don't think he'll debut before the end of the year. I mean, maybe at a pinch round 23, but he'll need to continue to put in a good body of work, I think.
So are we being unfair because, Ned Long and Dan Howe basically tandemed. Whenever Dan was in the centre, Ned was on the wing. Whenever Ned was on the wing, Dan was in the centre.
Yeah. And look, 31 touches for Dan. As much as I'm critical of him, I mean, that's a good accumulation, right?
Yeah.
If he's not picking those up, who is? You know what I mean? Like him and Phillips had 27 disposals, 11 marks. So those two are
And
pretty...
his brother, Ed Phillips, was having a field day.
That's right, yeah. But Dan and Tom are pretty essential to this Box Hill outfit at the moment. They're the guys winning the footy. Obviously, Cal Porter's excellent. But if you don't have Dan and Tom doing their thing, this side's in real trouble.
Yeah.
So, hats off to them. I don't see them in the senior side, but they're doing wonders for the VFL.
Scamasaurus says, Porter, Cavara and Green deserve a spot on the AFL list. Who would be the best fit at Hawthorn? Now, we've campaigned for Green. I understand that the question mark is his size. Mm-hmm. And also, if Gunston keeps up this form, there's no looking for Green.
Yeah, it'll be about timing and our list profile for Green at this point.
Cavara's hard to look past, to be honest, but he's a bit old.
Cavara, yeah, it's 27, I think. Cavara is just a special talent. He's an excitement machine. He's very fun to watch, but in terms of age profile, I do wonder, maybe they're just going to overlook him on that basis. I think Cal Porter, I read before, I think he's 21. He's in the vicinity. He's a young player. He had one game for the Dogs. One. And they delisted him. I think he was on the list 3 years. So, I don't know. He's been an absolute star for Box Hill the last few weeks, but I don't know if Hawthorn are looking there or if they just go straight to the draft for a midfield talent.
Well, he deserves something for the effort he's put through this year.
He's in the right spot. He's given himself every chance.
Mind you, was the worst team in the league. And we rested the captain, given him a couple of weeks grace. And who was on the commentary telling us that we were being a little bit, what's the word?
Arrogant?
Arrogant, that's it. In dropping the captain and letting him have a rest and, maybe to come back to bite us.
Well, we didn't do a Ross Lyon. We didn't empty the side. We still had some decent talent out there. I thought that was a bit much. This question from Views from the Nosebleeds about Emerson Jecker. Jecker has been outstanding in defence, but are we robbing ourselves of another forward option by training a guy up in a position we're already pretty solid in? See blank, DGB, Sicily and Frost.
Frost?
You don't think he's solid in defence?
Oh, I see. I thought they were saying Frost could have played forward. And he did.
Well, he did.
The rumours are that he will be used up forward next year.
Oh, those are the rumours.
I've been reading these things.
Nice and non-specific.
Well, I mean, if he gets put there for a couple of weeks this year, is that something? Because Sam's always looking a couple of years ahead.
Okay, question without notice. On reflection, what was that about?
That was psychological. Frost had been absolutely mauled by Ben Brown and a couple of others in the weeks coming forward, and they just needed him, like Impey, to have a more aggressive stance on the footy field, to be the aggressor rather than reactive, which is what happened to both of them. You got to be proactive as a defender, and they just couldn't do it.
Not much proactive about Sam Frost at the moment, sidelined with injury, unfortunately.
But he's signed a new contract.
Exactly right.
Do you think we are? Are we denying ourselves forward options by putting in that really easy role of being a halfback flanker?
I mean,
it is an easier role.
Well, you see it through the lens of him being a utility rather than, I think, one thing or the other. The fact that he can play both, which is what we're seeing now, that he does have the aptitude for both positions, is an enormous bonus for us. It robs the forward line a bit because it puts more pressure on the likes of Cozzy and Callow to cement a spot and play, if we're talking like a Batman and Robin role, and Mitch Lewis is Bruce Wayne.
Well, Callow was so poor on the weekend, they threw him back into defence to get a touch.
Yeah. So Callow and Cozzy right now, both of them are in kind of mediocre form, and there has to be a little bit concerned about the future of the forward line.
Well, I'd say Cozzy's having a tough year of development.
Yeah. When you're talking about him in terms of what can he do for Mitch Lewis?
How old is he again?
Oh, I think 21, 22 or something. All of a sudden, I know we copped it for years for being too old. This is suddenly a very young list. So when you're talking, most of these guys we're talking about are fairly young.
Mate, Mitch Lewis has only just blossomed. We had many more questions about Mitch than we did about Cozzy this time last year.
I'd say so. Mitch Lewis just hit 50 games on the weekend.
Yeah.
Which feels pretty good to learn that. Only 50 games for Mitch, and it's coming along very nicely. But
they need time. These big fellas holding down key positions need time.
Except for James Blank, apparently.
Oh, well, imagine how good he'd be in 50 games.
Exactly right. This question from Lawrence. Surely Jecker needs to come in for DGB. I'm a big fan of this. I've been been asking for this for a little while now, so I agree with Lawrence.
DGB didn't have a bad game, mate.
No, I wanted to add that caveat that I'm not trying to downplay DGB. I don't think he's absolute trash or anything. It's more that he is the closest like for like I can see to bring Jekka in.
Okay.
That's just how I see it. But this question from Jane. If the development of Jekka as a defender works, could he free up Scrimshaw to play as a mid, as he hoped in his pre-draft days?
Yeah, well, I think they're very interchangeable, the halfbacks and the wings.
Mm-hmm.
But
anything that gives us flexibility in that part of the ground, I'm kind of all for, to be honest.
I've sort of just fallen away from Scrimshaw ever playing wing, I think.
He's too good. Too good where he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bit of that.
And also going forward, he doesn't take the best options every now and again.
In terms of the queue for who had to run through the midfield, Scrimshaw's down in that queue. He's not a go-to for mine, but that's just me. Box Hill, as I say, with that win, they're back in the 8. They have a bye, and then we come up against Frankston, Saturday, August 6th at Skybus Stadium.
They any good?
Frankston are in the bottom half of the ladder.
Is that right?
So we'll see how we go. Our biggest test for Box Hill is the last round of the season where we come up against Sydney, who are also in the 8 right now, and not too dissimilar a position. So that could be massive. I really wish the other week...
Is it here or there?
I think it's TBC.
Okay.
Yeah.
Never been there.
TBC Stadium.
Right.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that really arse up things? Like,
tough one to get to.
I'm
that
so
stadium.
sick of the rolling round garbage. I hope that's gone next year because you can't plan.
I want to say, I want to cover myself here. I could be wrong. I'm sure today I read that it's not announced yet.
Right. But please, some sponsor, who is TBC, come out and sponsor a stadium so they can't do that any longer. Just put TBC on everything.
Yeah, it's a great sponsor. Total Bullshit Corporate. Sounds like a lot of current sponsors, actually. Anyway, we've gone through Box Hill. We've talked about who's good, who's in form, who's not so great and out of form. We get to St Kilda versus Hawthorn at Marvel Stadium, Saturday, 4:35 p.m. The most enticing time.
At the worst stadium.
Yeah. Saturday twilight at Marvel Stadium.
The only saving grace is it's not Sunday.
Yes, that's true. We've heard that Giath is in, or at least he's available. I imagine he comes straight back into the side. Are you making any other changes?
Who's he coming in for?
Well, that's first port of call, isn't it?
Okay.
Please don't let it be Morris. I think it's going to be Morris.
Well, you thought that last week.
I know. I'm glad that they're sticking with him.
Yeah.
Because he's doing a lot right.
They're doing that thing where they go, you've got this chunk of weeks.
Block. Yeah.
And this is your chance to keep on the list.
His disposal efficiency's in the toilet, and has been for a little while. But he's not playing that badly, really. I mean, Finn's was worse.
Look, Morris is coming from a long way back. The expectations were pretty low. I think he's met expectations. He's probably exceeded expectations on certain plays.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of overall performance, it's very much, there's not huge mistakes. But
you're not seeing massive upside?
No, I can see the upside.
Okay.
Is he going to be given time?
I throw it back to you. If not Morris, then who do you bring out of the side for Giath?
I mean, we spoke about him earlier. Will, but I don't think it'll happen.
Nah, Day remains in the side.
Really?
Yep.
There's just no point playing him at Box Hill. He's just not going to get anything out of it, is he?
No.
Anyone else cop a knock?
Not that I know. I'm just going by the injury report. I think the revelations from the injury report this week, Downey ruled out for the season, having re-injured his hamstring, which is terrible timing for him. Really needed the back half of the year, or the back quarter, I would say, at this stage, to prove that he has a spot on the list. Shields unavailable for selection. He sustained a concussion playing for Box Hill. Other than that, most of our injury list, we've got people ruled out for the season. There's not too many levers to pull there in terms of players coming back.
Is there a good matchup for Maggie this week, or perhaps he could be dropped?
No, I'd say there's a good matchup.
For Maggie?
Yep.
You like Maggie?
I like Maggie, yep.
For Mcginnis?
Yeah.
Look, I don't
Are you
mind.
telling me there's not a good matchup for Finn this week?
No, I don't know. What are you going to send him to?
Steele, Hill, I don't care who it is. Saints have the wood over us, something shocking. We saved some of our worst performances for this mob.
Yeah.
Who have been mediocre for literal
You can't
decades.
tell me we're winning 4 in a row, Nick. I mean, I know St Kilda did not look at all convincing, right?
No. Dare to dream, mate. Mathematically possible.
Yeah, great.
That is the last thing you want to do, isn't it? You do not want Hawthorn to make finals.
Oh, God, no.
No.
Well, we're no chance of, winning the premiership from...
Exactly. It's not happening, so therefore what's the point?
They set the system up like this. I'm just a functionary of the logic of the system. If you overachieve, you get punished.
Yeah, you get penalised for it.
Right?
I know, you're already looking at the draft. You're looking at Cal Toomey's Phantom draft going, who do I like here and who's going to be within reach?
And are they getting to pick 6 at the moment? Yeah.
Yeah. And we want to concentrate on the midfield. There's a number of midfielders in that bracket, but the point is, you want your pick of them.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
You want every chance to get who you want to get.
Mind you, the truth of the matter is, and Ado always reminds me of this, is it's not about who you pick, it's how you develop them.
Yes, well, that's part of the equation. It is.
Yeah.
And you back Hawthorn?
I do. Well, we've got proven record.
Absolutely, yeah. Recent track record's been very good in that regard. I don't know what other changes I'm making to this side.
Oh, look, there'll be ones we don't expect.
Yeah.
They might give a couple of young fellas a rest. We certainly need a different look about us. I think North have lulled us into a false sense of security.
Yeah,
as
they'll do that.
Adelaide and
West Coast.
West Coast.
Stuart asks, which of our remaining games do you want to win the most? And this is a block of 4 that I'm calling the Hawthorn Revenge Rounds, because we're playing teams that beat us earlier in the year.
I still haven't forgotten 2016.
In terms of the Bulldogs?
Yeah.
Okay, well...
Give me that one.
Well,
Last round win going into next season. Fabulous.
And potentially spoil their chances as well, because there's still a chance for finals, aren't they?
No, they'll probably play it. Remember this, round 6? I took you up on this during the week.
Yeah.
I said, what's the only change since round 6 to the 8? Because it's such an interesting, exciting league.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many changes?
Yeah.
1.
Yeah, basically nothing, yeah.
Yeah. St Kilda out, Dogs in. There you go.
It's the Hawthorn Revenge Rounds. We lost to all these teams earlier in the season. I want to get back at them and ruin their campaign.
And who is it?
Well, I mean, I'm going to Tassie, so I want to see the Suns lose to Hawthorn.
You're off, are you?
Yeah, I'm going to that one. Yeah.
Booked in a long time in advance before we play them in Darwin, perhaps, was it?
Yep. Yeah, that one was flagged a fair time ago.
What's our best chance of winning? Gold Coast, a shit house.
I don't think it quite went like that. But no, I mean, you would hope that Gold Coast don't perform to that level again. Well, rather, I would hope that Hawthorn don't perform to that same level again.
Yeah, we made it too easy for them.
Way too easy. And down in our home turf in Launceston, that's the one that I hope we win. I'm torn because I'm the same as you. There's no point in winning all 4. It'd be fun, but then it would get to draft time and we would regret it.
The greatest Hawthorn player of the last 20 years said it himself. I hope they don't win too many games. Luke Hodge.
Yeah.
Yeah, remember that?
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. I'm with you, Hodgie.
So you don't want to win in all 4. You're saying the Bulldogs.
How many's too many, Nick?
Would you put up with 50%? So 2 games.
Oh.
Your face. You can't take it.
I just look at...
You hate the thought of it.
I could... Look, I know it's a double-edged sword, but if we have to take someone after that, what's his Dodoro?
Oh, yeah.
On draft night.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Do you really have anything to fear from Adrian Dodoro?
I just hate the caricature of the bloke.
How long has he been at that club now?
You know, the only reason he doesn't get sacked is because he makes good picks, but they never develop the talent.
How does that possibly make sense? Surely the buck eventually stops at him.
Obviously doesn't.
I guess not. Yeah, what am I talking about? Anyway, you can find our show, as always, on Apple Podcasts. Maybe listening to it on Apple Podcasts right now. Now, if you do enjoy what you hear, jump on there and rate and review our show. We'd really love to hear from you. Makes our day to read it, and of course, it attracts new listeners to the show as well. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, we're all over the socials, twitter.com/HawkTalkPod, facebook.com/HawkTalkPod, and of course just search us on Instagram. We're building a community, and what an amazing community it is, especially when we're winning, Tiz, up and about. Brilliant. And a special shout out, of course, to our latest subscriber to come aboard and support the podcast. Thank you so much to Sudi. We really appreciate your contribution. It's subscribers that help us put time into this podcast week in, week out, rain, hail, shine, winning, losing, drawing. If you're listening to this, you like what we do, and you feel like supporting the show, all the details on how to do that can be found on our Patreon page, patreon.com/HawkTalkPod.
Red Time?
Red Time. We're into Red Time.
Is this a new segment?
Yeah, without notice. Sprung it on you. Red Time item 1. Notes from the Herald Sun. Just a few interesting little tidbits that I wonder if down the track might be a bit more substantiated. Harry Morrison currently in talks for a new deal, Tiz.
Deserved.
Absolutely. I'm glad they're going to get that done. Rumoured, it came across our desk, our Hawk Talk Pod HQ desk, that it might be 3 years.
Really?
But we'll wait and see. It's quite a generous deal for Harry. I'd take 2 would be fine.
Last year was mixed up year for Harry. Kept his body right to go for the pre-season and has hit his straps this year. He's been very good.
Now, this is getting a bit down the track, but if we're thinking PCM, most improved?
Really?
Well, I was going to
Your boy, Mitch.
I was going to say, close between him and Mitchell Lewis. I mean, Lewis has got he's got Coleman contendership to show for it.
Dylan.
Yeah, Isn't it? It's a good problem to have.
I never get those right anyway. You know how when you go, I don't know, when you go, they go, who is your selection for PCM winner and who's your, and you all put your entries in. I never get those little ones right.
Look forward to
Clubman and whatever.
I look forward to that prediction podcast. Always good fun. The second item is
I mean when you go to the actual venue.
Oh, you're going this year again?
I haven't decided yet. You got to get in early or something. I forget what early is. It's like 3 weeks out is early.
Oh, time means nothing anymore thanks to COVID. So, second Red Time item. This one surprised me. Tyler Brockman is tipped to remain with the club, according to the Herald Sun.
Yeah, well, it was West Coast who were looking at him, I suppose. Frio's forward line, in terms of smalls, looks pretty settled.
Yep.
Maybe they're a bit gun-shy.
Maybe. He's got a bit of an injury history now, Tyler Brockman. I thought maybe through that...
But that's most pleasing. Like, his upside's tremendous.
Oh, I'm happy to retain him. I thought he was gone for all money. I thought homesickness in combination with everything else, I thought he was gone from the club. But really pleasing to hear that he's set to remain in brown and gold for a little while longer. It's also tipped that the club will retain Seamus Mitchell.
Interesting. Must be on character.
Oh, talk about injury history.
Yeah.
He's barely had the chance to demonstrate anything. Sort of taken and played as a forward, and then at some point...
Mate, we haven't seen anything of what he can do.
No, but he was tried as a defender briefly when he did get on the park. So there's
day they looked really terrible, and they couldn't get the ball in the forward 50, if you recall.
Oh, he played there more than one game.
And they said, everyone, go on the back 50, see if you can get a touch.
He played there more than one game, but you're right. We've barely seen anything yet. Big question mark over Seamus Mitchell, but... The club's happy to persist, apparently, and no word yet on Ben McAvoy's future, but I don't know about you, Tiz. I'd like him to
Ball's in his court.
Yep.
I thought he was already contracted for another year anyway. That was my thought, but anyway.
Apparently not. Red Time item number 3, the three-peat book, available now via Hawk's Nest, celebrating, of course, our wins against Adelaide, West Coast, and North Melbourne.
That's right. And didn't they get it out real quick?
Yeah. Pretty dodgy publication, I expect. No, of course. It's the three-peat, the 3 premierships in a row. And there was a limited edition that I was online for. I had every chance to buy that, and I booked it. I thought, no, I'm happy with the regular one. There were only 250 copies. I saw all over social media this morning, lots of disappointed Hawks fans. Like, I missed out.
Yeah, well, there's only 250 copies.
Just 250, I believe.
It reminds me of when they do... Guernseys and things, and they never print it again, even though it's the most popular thing on earth.
It was actually, the book itself, that limited edition, was cheaper than your standard Guernsey.
Oh, really?
Which is a bit nuts.
Yep.
So, anyway.
Well, I mean, pricing's one of the hardest things, knowing how much people will pay.
Well, yeah, but...
The other thing that pissed people off wasn't just members, it was anybody.
Oh, is that right? Okay, yeah, well, I don't really support that. That should be for members, that kind of thing. But anyway, the three-peat book is going to be available. Well, I think it's pre-orders at the moment. You can get the regular edition for about $50.
It'll be exciting. I'm excited to read it.
Oh, absolutely.
Grateful that but it goes from 2009 to 2021.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, actually. You should point that out. It's a comprehensive history of that era of the club. It's not just the 3 years. So you'll get a lot of...
So I'll probably just read to the end of 2015 myself.
Are you curious about what happened next behind the scenes at the club?
End on a high.
Leave the audience wanting more. I mean, it might put some things that we're looking at right now, in the present day, into some sort of context.
Yeah.
For better or worse.
Yeah.
A lot for worse.
Do you think?
Well, I'm just saying, we're not near competing at the moment. We will be again very soon. But there's got to be a lot of things that happen behind the scenes that were wrong turns, maybe not great decisions, maybe some great decisions too. But this is why I'm excited to read it.
Oh, I don't think it'll be that kind of analysis, will it? It'll just be the end of people's journeys. Burgoyne, Clarkson, Sammy coming back to the club.
Yeah, maybe.
And you just see the interweaving of the personalities and the storylines across the period. The most interesting part for me will be that section from 2012 into 2013.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing that inspires them to get up and win the 3 in a row.
And then 2015. Going again.
Going again.
And if you don't want to buy the book, take that $50 and buy an AFLW membership.
Yes, indeed. Hawthorn's AFLW memberships, they're available right now, a month out from the start of the season. You can sign up for as little as $50, Tiz. That's a bloody steal. I'm on board, just got on board myself, and you can pay it monthly.
Is that $10 a home game?
Yeah, actually, yep. And it'll go directly... Why would you rock up to the gate when you could go through the club and the money goes directly into the pockets of the brown and gold?
Well, that's an important point.
Yep.
That's why we buy through Hawk's Nest. Because no doubt that book will be at Big W in a month for 10.
Oh, it's a good price, though.
It did feel good to see Burgoyne's double the price of Dusty's.
I know I've mentioned it on the podcast before, but there was a listener that filmed that video of him putting Burgoyne's book in front of Dusty's and then gently patting it. Like, well done, Silk. It's always good for a laugh, that one. Anyway, the point is, AFLW memberships available now. Get behind this team. This is where it all begins. You want to be on board where it starts. And hopefully, mate, it starts at Marvel Stadium.
Yeah, well, get in before they move it, because I'll probably up the price.
You just never know. Hashtag move it to Marvel. That campaign's gone a little bit quiet for my liking. Got to revitalise it via this podcast. We'll see what we can do. Play our bit, do our part to move it to Marvel.
I suggest you go behind the goals and just refuse to give the ball back until they agree.
All right, so do my bit this weekend.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a campaign. Now, there's an idea. Right with Sharpie on the ball. Hashtag move it to Marvel.
Yeah, like that. You saw the little kid and gave it back to Sicily.
At the MCG. Oh,
that was so cute.
That was adorable.
Now, that can be you, but go all the way down to the fence and then go, nah. No. Not until... And wait for the camera to focus, come right in.
Yeah.
And then go move it to Marvel.
See, at that point, I'm worried about the behaviour officers.
They don't exist anymore.
Don't
that
they?
Was fantastic. That was a 2-week thing.
All this means is everyone's been on their best behaviour ever since. I mean, the proof is right there.
Anyway, it's unlike the AFL to make decisions on the run, get rid of the behaviour officers or change the rules about head-high tackles. And
we can't.
This
is the end of the show.
No,
we can't get into this now.
Mate, this is the main issue.
That's the main event of the podcast.
If we're ever going to... Look, Dylan Moore didn't get that free. He should have got that free. He didn't straighten the arm.
I disagree. I was happy for that to be...
Boo.
I know. It's surprising.
Did you think he exaggerated it?
I didn't think it was...
I didn't like Dermy's commentary on it.
Well,
In fact, I didn't like Dermy's
most of
commentary.
The day. Yeah, that's right. But no, I didn't think Dylan...
Hear about Aidan Bonner again. God.
I didn't think Dylan Moore exaggerated it too bad. I've seen worse than that. But I was happy with what the umpire decided there. And that is a lot coming from a one-eyed supporter.
I've been listening to Lee Matthews and I think he's been very good at the discussion. He says, you don't have to make it easy to be tackled. Right? You don't have to stand upright and wait for them to get to you.
Yeah.
But also, it's happening too often. You can't have guys deliberately putting their arm out and raising it, right? Mm-hmm. And getting the head-high tackle. We've seen Joel Selwood do it for a long time. Jack Ginnivan does it. Magpie supporters are exactly right.
Yeah.
That he's being victimised. Mm-hmm. He's made a career out of it already, right?
Yeah.
Selwood's made a career out of it for 15 years?
Happy 350 games, John.
Yeah, and every time they raised one arm, and gave him another 3. And we were livid. The whole competition was livid. Nobody cared. Yeah. Jack Ginnivan does it. People have a laugh because he gets away with it. He's taking the piss.
Yeah.
You can't take the piss out of the AFL. They'll come for you.
I don't like it.
They don't like it. So, Redmond comes out.
Yeah.
Collects him high, probably knowing that unlikely to be paid.
Yeah, because you can't. This is the problem I have. Because I just cut in. The AFL, unfortunately, has empowered terrible tackling technique. Players know that they can absolutely rip a guy's head off now, and it might be fine. Whereas before, they didn't think that.
Yeah, well, I'll give it but you know, it'll be allowed to go high if you do that thing that he does, where you put your arm out, unnatural movement, got nothing to do with protecting the ball or anything.
Okay, so you're looking at.
I think that's the tell. I think that every time you do that, raise the arm unnaturally to bring the tackler high.
You want to disincentivize that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you get 4 weeks of that. You disincentivize that action.
I mean, you hope. You hope it goes that way.
But if you're getting struck in the head every time, that's pretty disincentivizing.
I suppose, but I still think that regardless, there's still going to be the same sort of distribution of so-called correct calls and incorrect calls.
Well, in trying to protect the head, they have actually created an environment where they will reward you for getting struck in the head. Yeah. Right? Mm-hmm. And that's how you get that movement of the arm to encourage you to get hit in the head.
That's bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah. I think this is life. Yeah. Whatever you intend usually goes awry at some point. The further you get along the bell curve.
Have any young listeners on board for this show? Or?
Well, no, that's what it's like.
Yeah.
People give an inch, take a mile. Yeah. That's what's happened in this case. We're taking a bit of the mile back. Mm-hmm. Okay? And eventually go out and watch. I don't want to go to the footy and celebrate a bloke that ducks. Yeah. I think that...
It's cheap.
That is definitely cheap. Across the whole of the AFL, people do not want to celebrate duckers.
Well, it's annoying to watch, and I think we want to move away from that.
I don't want to watch it. But not something I want to watch.
But Tiz, how often do we have to tweak the game because we're slightly unsatisfied with how it looks?
It's our game. We can do what we like.
I think the fact that it never ends is a bit frustrating.
Mate, soccer's had to tweak everything because stuff like this was happening.
Well, tell me a bit about soccer. You've got more expertise in this code than me.
Well, they've got a bloody video ref.
Do they tweak...
Imagine if we had a video ref.
Oh, God, no, please. Do they tweak it as much as the AFL?
No, they wait until it's severely bad. And then they do everything at once and... unapologetically.
Dare I say they wait until they've got everyone offside?
Wow.
That's the show this week, folks.
Jeez. But yeah, they're using goal line technology. They're using technology to get through it. I mean, our technology on the goal line's still pretty shoddy.
Oh, it's awful. But that's where that technology has to end for the AFL. You can't introduce it anywhere else in the heat of the moment, right? You're looking at me like you want to. That doesn't result in a fast game, which they're hell-bent on.
It's got to evolve, and I just think you got to have it look good, and that was not looking good. Ginnivan going to his knees every time he got the ball was not a good look. The AFL acted. I have no issue with them acting. They should have acted earlier on Selwood, and they wouldn't have ended up with Jack.
Exactly, yep. Another question for you before we finally wrap up this episode. Sub-rule.
Yeah?
Question mark. That's it. That's the whole question.
Well, I mean, Richmond flouted the sub-rule. That guy didn't look injured at all. They brought Rioli on, got the draw.
Yep.
Right?
It's all they deserved.
Yeah, well, what you should do is if they can't prove that the guy... You either make sure that the bloke who's taken off can't play the next week, in which case you're just going to get the guy coming off who's going to be admitted anyway.
Yep.
Right?
That's right.
Not really a good solution.
Yeah.
So what you do is if that bloke turns out that they were gaming in the system, club doesn't get a medi sub for the next couple of weeks. Whole club suffers.
So that's your solution there. I would say just bring back the normal sub. If you want a sub, have it with no strings attached. You can sub whenever you want.
Why? You just increase the sub bench. That's it.
Well, I'm saying it's not contingent on whether someone gets ruled out or not.
They just can't come back on.
Yeah. When you've
been watching soccer again.
No, it's like it was Back when Hawthorn was winning
70s?
all the time. No. Back when Hawthorn was winning all the time, you'd have a sub and you use it when you want, and then that's it.
Why did they get rid of that again?
I don't know. They've changed so much in like the last year alone.
Well, that was the last time the sub was enacted. That was 2015. The last sub was David Hale off.
That's right. And well, you ask me, I ask you the same question. Why did they stop that?
Oh, I can't recall now.
Yeah, well, neither can I, but why can't we just have that again? It would solve all of this. Have a sub you can use for any time you want. Any reason at all. And if you're stupid enough to use it when you don't really need it to, and then someone gets concussed, well, I guess that's just bad luck, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sometimes, just sometimes, you can have bad luck in a game of sport. And sometimes teams are going to have to cop it.
But it ruins games, Nick. It's got to be watchable, mate.
Oh, my God.
We've had so many watchable games thanks to the Medisub.
They literally have... two hot potatoes, the AFL, this week.
Why don't they just...
They're too high and they have the medical sub.
The problem what they should do is you can only use the Medisub up until 3/4 time. After that, they can piss off to the showers.
Just let them sub whenever they want once.
No.
How hard
is that? Up to 3/4 time. Anything that happens after that, whatever.
Why are you putting weird rules around it? Just let them do it whenever they want.
Nah, just leave it. Look, if they can't look to influence the last 10 minutes of the game by getting fresh legs on, that's the problem, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, can't use the Medisub in the last quarter.
It's needlessly complicated. Anyway, that's going to be the show this week. Is anyone still listening to this?
No, probably not. They're probably watching the Commonwealth Games now.
That's
Been
right.
talking that long.
Will I see you at #MoveItToMarvel? Will you move yourself to Marvel?
Yeah, I'll probably be there. There's a couple of things going on Saturday night. It's a weird time. I'm not sure quite when the game will be over. The result is immaterial to me, really. I just want to see development, and we have. We've been very, very fortunate. Things could have gone much worse than this, Nick.
Forthorn. Staring down Forthorn.
Don't bring that up again.
We need to wrap up. This has been another edition of the Hawk Talk podcast. We will, of course, be back next week to recap all the action from Marvel Stadium. It's the Hawks, it's the Saints, 4:35 p.m. Looking to make it 4 in a row. Right, Tiz? Yeah, I know you're on board.
Yeah, no, that's good.
We are a happy team at Hawthorn.